Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Thursday, November the 25th, 2021. Happy Thanksgiving. And on today's show, I break down this weekend's game as the Gamecocks take on their arch rival, the Clemson Tigers, at Williams-Brice Stadium in the annual rivalry matchup. Guys, I'll break down this game in its entirety. First things first, we'll break down Clemson as a whole, also top storylines, key matchups to watch for, and keys to the game as well as, again, the annual rivalry matchup. The Palmetto Bowl returns for the 2021 football season. Also, guys, we've got your listener questions, your voicemails, and a fantastic throwback conversation, guys. Great interview with one of the all-time greats to ever wear the garnet and black, and also a future NFL Hall of Famer in former Gamecocks defensive end, Johnathan Abraham. Guys, again, we have got a packed edition of the Spurs Up Show, a packed episode here on your Thanksgiving, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. Guys, as always, if you have any moving needs this holiday season, be sure to check out our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. You can find them on social media at Upstate Movers Group. Or, of course, if you have any other questions, go to their website, upstatemoversgroup.com. That's upstatemoversgroup.com. Be sure to check them out and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Let's get it. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, happy Thursday, and more importantly, happy Thanksgiving to each and every single one of you tuned in. Guys, again, appreciate you all tuning in, whether I'm the appetizer, the dessert, whatever it might be. Folks, again, if you're tuned into the sound of my voice, thank you all so much for tuning in here on this Thanksgiving. We have got a packed show, of course, and a lot to get into. Is, again, it's Thursday of rivalry weekend as the Gamecocks are set to do battle with that team from the upstate under the lights on Saturday night. But again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, guys, happy Thanksgiving to each and every single one of you. And on Thanksgiving, of course, we count our blessings and we think of things we are thankful for. And we really should live each and every single day as a Thanksgiving, leading with gratitude and thanks. And I want to say yet again, guys, thank you all so much to each and every single one of you. I'm so grateful and so thankful for you guys that continue to rock and roll with us and support us and rock with the content and tune to the shows and tune to the Daily Crow, buy the merch and support everything that we do. It means more than you could ever know. So again, guys, thank you all so much. Again, especially if you're tuning in to the sound of my voice here on this Thanksgiving, I truly do appreciate you, and I appreciate you making yours truly a part of your Thanksgiving holiday. But again, hope you're all doing well. And I hope this show finds you well, whether you're with friends, family, you're eating some food, you're watching football, whatever festivities you're taking part in. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday. And again, speaking of football, of course, we're talking football here on this Thursday. One quick reminder, guys, before we get going, I got to remind you yet again, Saturday, you want to be there. The TSUS tailgate at Seawells, the final TSUS tailgate of the 2021 football season. We'll be out there, spots 93 to 96. Yours truly will be making our way out there around 12:30 or so. We're going to be out there all day long. Tailgating going to be the most epic tailgate of the 2021 football season. So again, guys, would love to see you out there. Everyone is welcome. I'll have TSUS and Clemson stickers on hand as well to give away. And you never know what other merch, what other swag we might have to hand out at the tailgate. So again, guys, be sure to come out to that. The TSUS tailgate at Seawells this Saturday. Again, we'll be out there probably at 12:30 out there all day long where the Gamecocks take on Clemson on Saturday night. But again, guys, happy Thanksgiving and truly appreciate you all tuning in. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it because, of course, it's rivalry week, and we're breaking into the game. The Gamecocks take on the Clemson Tigers, our hated rival from the upstate. 7:30 kickoff on the SEC Network at Williams-Brice Stadium. Guys, we talked about the line yesterday in detail, but of course, South kind of sitting right now as an 11-point underdog, the over-under at 43.5. We all know the series history in this one. Clemson leads it 71, 42, and 4. And the last meeting between these two schools was in 2019, which feels forever ago because, of course, last year with COVID, the two teams did not play. Clemson won that ball game at Willie B by a final score of 38-3. Guys, a brief Clemson breakdown. Their head coach, of course, Dabo Swinney, 8-3 this season, 6-2 in the ACC. Of course, we all know and have been following along the disappointment, to much of our joy, that has been their 2021 football season. And really, it's come because of a porous offense, averaging just 26 points per game. They're giving up 16 points per game. So, again, obviously riding their defense, sort of how South Carolina has done as well, but averaging just 26 points per game and have really struggled throwing the football with new quarterback DJ Uiagalelei. So, again, looking forward to what's probably going to be a defensive game. Again, the over-under sit at 43.5. Vegas is expecting a lot of defense as well. Will that trend hold true, or will there be a little bit more offense from both sides than we expect in this one? Guys, let's dive into our top storylines. And the first one's got to be this: the return of the rivalry. You know, after last year with COVID, the game did not get played, which, you know, I thought was silly. I think most of us thought it was stupid. It didn't make any sense. Of course, if you can play 10 conference games and if you can go down the road or up the road to this school or that school or what have you, why did the game not get played? But again, it didn't. And so what I think is interesting, though, is this: the rivalry returns. And what's weird is that we all know, guys, right now, because of this streak, you know, how it felt year after year after year for South Carolina to partake in this game, and how we felt as fans like, oh, my God, here we go again. The streak is going on, what have you. The same way Clemson felt from 2009 to 2013. But it's almost like that year off last year helped the psyche of Gamecock fans. Because, of course, yours truly has been talking shit all week, and it has been an absolute blast. And I'm going to continue to do so all the way up until kickoff on Saturday night. But the rivalry coming back, guys, again, it is a great thing. It's a great thing for college football. You know, you look at this weekend of football, of course, tonight, you've got the Egg Bowl with Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and just having rivalry weekend, having all these rivalries played again, it is truly a great thing for college football. And again, I think we can all agree, no matter what side you're on, the South Carolina Clemson rivalry is a game that should be played year after year after year. And you could argue it is the best rivalry in all of college football and even college sport. You know, Shane Beamer mentioned this in his Tuesday media availability. The thing that makes it so special is the pure hatred and the competition, not just in football, but across all the sports as well. So again, the return of the rivalry in 2021. But what's interesting, guys, I wanted to make this point earlier. What's interesting is just how different things look now. You know what I mean? Just in the sense of, like, South Carolina had a different coach, the players that were on both sides. I mean, you think about it, guys. The last time these two teams played, Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback for Clemson, and Ryan Helinski was the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks. So again, these coaching staffs look a little bit different. The rosters certainly look a lot different. The dynamic of college football, it looks different. But again, all is right in the world as the rivalry, the South Carolina Clemson rivalry, returns on the slate. It feels right to have this rivalry return again. I know there were many people last year that were upset that, you know, felt like, why did the game not get played? Well, we get it this year. We get it this year. Under the lights at Willie B. What more could you ask for? Again, guys, another big storyline in this one. Like I said, the coaching staff of the Gamecocks has changed a lot since the last time these two teams have played. And, of course, the Gamecocks have a new head coach and a new head man manning the sidelines in Shane Beamer. And, you know, each coach, the way they attack the rivalry and the way they put their stamp on the rivalry, if you will, you know, it's been very, very cordial and very friendly between the two coaches this week. I know, to many people's dismay, you know, both coaches complimenting each other, saying, oh, he should be ACC coach of the year. Oh, he should be SEC coach of the year. And the compliments back and forth, back and forth. But Shane Beamer getting his first crack at Clemson as Gamecocks head coach. Again, he's no stranger to the rivalry, right? He's no stranger to what it means to this fan base and the people of this state and what it means to beat Clemson. Again, I'll be very interested just to follow Shane Beamer's comments leading up to the game, and really, no matter the result, how he approaches it in post-game. Because again, Shane Beamer has seen what it's like when the Gamecocks beat Clemson. He understands the importance and the impact that it has for this fan base. So again, him getting his first crack, can he leave his mark early in this tenure? Because I feel like each South Carolina coach sort of did their things. Hey, if you're Steve Spurrier, it was obvious, right? The 5-game winning streak, the way he would poke at Dabo. Hey, if you're Will Muschamp, unfortunately, it was negative. He really didn't have a mark, except he was getting stepped on his entire time in this game. But I also think, too, you think about Shane Beamer and his impact. Like I mentioned, the return of the rivalry, but bringing competitiveness and interest and excitement back to this game, guys. I mean, unfortunately, that's got to be a storyline. Or you can look at it as fortunately, it's a storyline this season. Because I'll tell you what, guys, if you're wondering, why has Chris been so chipper all week? Why has he been talking so much shit? Because, guys, here's the thing. I mean, this is the first time since 2014 we realistically entered a rivalry week with real hope and optimism that the Gamecocks could win the football game. I mean, I think about it personally for myself, selfishly. I mean, I've been doing TSUS since 2017, been doing it full time since August of 2019. There hasn't been a rivalry week, guys, that I could really get excited about at all. I mean, the last time these two teams played, 2019, yeah, I spent the week talking junk and making content, but it felt so empty. It felt so baseless. When you know, I mean, your team opens up as a 24.5-point underdog, and you know what's coming. You know what's going to happen. The Gamecocks stood no chance in that game. So for Shane Beamer, all of the hope and the optimism and the energy and the excitement that he's brought, and of course, winning games helps that as well. But all of that he's brought, seeing it come to fruition this week and this fan base truly be fired up and excited yet again for rivalry week. And again, that leading into Saturday and Beamer getting his first real shot at Clemson on the field, it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch and a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see how he handles his first rivalry matchup as head coach. Going to be fun to watch. Another big storyline, guys, moving on the field. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think we all can agree this game is going to come down to the battle in the trenches. And I'm really excited to watch these two lines of scrimmage go up against one another. Again, the running games from both sides, the defensive lines, they're all pretty solid units, all quality. And I think the biggest question for Gamecocks fans is, does our offensive line show up? What does the offensive line give you? Again, I think most of us feel the Gamecocks defensive line should be able to have some success, right? I think that most of us feel that side of the ball, there's nothing too much to worry about. But Clemson features a very good defensive line, and they've got a lot of depth there as well. Can your O-line hold up? And again, if there's one thing Clemson's been hanging their hat on all season offensively, because the passing game has been very hit or miss, it's been that running game. Players like Shipley, Kobe Pace, look at what they did last week against Wake Forest, running for over 300 yards in that ball game. Are they starting to figure it out on the ground? Guys, this game is truly going to come down to that battle in the trenches. If we see a Gamecocks offensive line that looks much closer to what they did against Auburn and Florida, then you've got a real shot to win. If we don't, if we see the Missouri version or we see the rest of the season version outside of those two games, it could be a very, very long night. So again, guys, I sound like a broken record, but winning the battle up front, the more physical football team, the one that can impose its will at the point of attack, that's going to be the one that has success, and that's going to be the one that most likely will win this football game. Bottom line, it comes down to the battle in the trenches. Again, I think there's some great individual matchups. I think the overall matchup against the Gamecocks offensive line against that Clemson defensive line, and then the opposite side, that Gamecock defensive line against the Clemson O-line. Again, I think we all feel really, really good that the South Carolina defensive line will be able to make its mark, do some things. But, hey, you've had some problems stopping the run as well. And Clemson's got more than capable backs. And like I mentioned, Pace and Shipley, two really, really good players. Hey, DJ Uiagalelei, he can run it himself as well. So is the South Carolina defensive line, after giving up, nearly, I think, 200 yards to Auburn. You gave up a lot, 200 alone to Tyler Beatty the week prior. Will you be able to run the ball and stop the run consistently enough? Because if you can do that defensively, again, I think we all believe you should be able to get after DJ Uiagalelei and force him into mistakes. And then offensively, this is a really big opportunity and a prove-it game for your offensive line. A much maligned unit that in the last couple of games of the season, you feel like maybe they started to find something, and then the Mizzou game happens and it just falls apart. I tell you what, though, if you can go out there and you can push these guys around and you don't have to run for 200. You don't. But if you can just establish some semblance of a consistent running game and you can give Jason Brown just enough time to make some plays, I think this is a huge prove-it game, a chip on your shoulder type game, because, again, you've pushed around Auburn a little bit. You pushed around a hapless Florida team. If you can push around Clemson, again, a team that has a good defensive line and has depth, I think that'll be another notch on the cap, if you will, for Greg Atkins and his offensive unit, that offensive line specifically, and it will be a job well done. So, again, that overall battle in the trenches, though, if you want to watch and see, if you want to know who's going to win this ball game, watch early that battle up front, because that's going to go a long way determining the winner of this football game. Guys, another big storyline, sticking with the Gamecocks offense. When you're talking offense, you got to talk quarterbacks. Jason Brown, what a story he's been, by the way. What a story. Taking over in the Florida game, and a guy that right now as a starter is 2-1 and has beaten both Florida and Auburn. And Marcus Satterfield joked in his Wednesday media availability that he talked with Jason Brown saying, if you beat Clemson, you'll be immortalized forever. You'll be a legend. But he's not wrong, right? And if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. Look at Clemson this year. I mean, I think one of the big reasons for their drop-off, their fall-off, is DJ Uiagalelei hasn't been what they thought he was going to be. Again, I think the game plan has to continue to be, you're not going to go out there and ask Jason Brown to throw 30, 40, 50 times. You got to be able to establish a run game. But at some point, and again, Marcus Satterfield made it very clear in yesterday's media availability, right? Made it very clear. But they're going to throw the ball, and they want to throw the ball. He said, quote, "We have to throw the ball. It can't be a shot here, a shot there, a throw to Z White. We've got to throw the ball." So you could say that's coach speak. You can say that's gamesmanship, whatever. But again, there's going to come multiple times where Jason Brown is going to have to drop back and deliver an accurate football. He's got the opportunity to leave his mark, right? Again, the quarterback gets too much of the credit and too much of the blame, no matter what. But if Jason Brown, Marcus Satterfield's right. Whether you love him or hate him, he's right. You get this dub, Jason Brown gets this dub, as the Gamecocks starting quarterback, he'll forever go down as a South Carolina legend, especially when you think of what he came from, what he overcame, finally getting his opportunity, beating Florida, beating Auburn. He can beat Clemson as well. He cements himself as a Gamecock legend. So again, Jason Brown with an opportunity to leave his mark. Can he continue to do the things that have made him successful? Taking care of the football, taking what the defense gives him, being accurate with the football, not turning it over, making smart decisions. If he can do those things, you should have a real legitimate shot to move the football offensively. Sticking with the offense, guys, again, I talked about the running game and how important it's going to be. What does Zaquandre White do for an encore? Folks, I've been riding high on Quan White for 2 weeks now. Give him the damn keys to the city. The way he runs the football, comparing him to the great Corey Boyd, runs like a man possessed. Cannot wait to watch 11 against this Clemson defense. And again, he has provided a spark that we have not seen all year in the running game. The way he was able last week, guys, to bounce plays outside and the vision. I mean, again, there's a reason this kid was ranked as the number one running back coming out of JUCO, right? There's a reason. Kid's got ability, but we're finally starting to see it come to fruition. We're finally starting to see it play out on the field. And I just say this, what does he do for an encore? What does he have in store? Because, hey, this is a rivalry game. Very emotional, right? Emotions will be flying. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later. But the emotions will be out there. And Quan White is already an emotional football player. So, again, I expect him in an emotional type game in a big game under the lights to continue to play his best football. Zaquandre White, guys, I mean, you got to put the credit on the offensive line for what they've done for blocking better, but this kid has single-handedly changed the Carolina running game. And I tell you what, too, what I love about his style is the attitude in which he runs with it. And again, I think that bleeds into the entire offense. I think that bleeds into the football team. How can you not get fired up when you're watching a guy like Quan White run people over? And I mean, seek out contact. This dude runs with a bad attitude. And I mean that in the best possible way. He runs with a bad attitude. Again, you're going to need your running game. Yet again against Clemson. They've got good players. Got good players in that defense. And there's going to be times where we've got a hat on a hat, and Quan White is going to have to make a dude miss. Can he do that? Can he be that game-breaking type of back for Carolina yet again? Guys, on the big storyline, switch to the defensive side. What's wild, by the way, on a side note, is going into this game and South Carolina not having like double-digit players out due to injury. Kudos to Luke Day and that coaching staff for keeping this team healthy this season. And that is the case going into this one for the most part, except what is the status of Cam Smith? Again, I think that's something to follow very closely. Clemson has dealt with their own bit of injuries, and we've talked about how much they've struggled in the passing game. But I think the defensive game plan most likely will be to load up the box a bit and make DJ Uiagalelei beat you. I think that's going to be the defensive game plan, because you look at a guy, basically for every single touchdown, he's thrown a pick. He will turn the football over. He'll put it in harm's way. But if you're missing one of your top DBs, and we saw it when he went out, by the way, Marcellus Dial was a little shoddy at times. I think Darius Rush has played good football. But if you're having to start leaning on guys like Marcellus Dial and Isaiah Norris and some of these dudes that really don't play a whole lot, things could get a bit tricky. It's going to put a lot of pressure on some other dudes in the back end of your defense. So what is the status of Cam Smith? Again, from what Shane Beamer has said, it sounds like they're optimistic he can go. From what I've heard, the odds he plays are very slim. It sounds like a dislocated knee in that Auburn game. And again, is it gamesmanship from Beamer? I don't know. Or maybe he's just right. But from what I've heard, it's unlikely he's ready to go. So again, what's the status of Cam Smith? Can he recover much quickly than we originally anticipated? Because if he can, again, that's a huge boost to this Gamecocks defense. Cam Smith has played fantastic football. And again, you look at Clemson, even though the passing game hasn't been there, they do have some good weapons on the outside, and Justin Ross, Bo Collins, Davis Allen, Shipley's been good outside, EJ Williams, Dakari Collins. Again, they still have athletes. These guys still have athletes, no question. So having Cam Smith would be a huge boost for this football team. Guys, another big storyline, like I mentioned earlier, you look at the Vegas number and you just simply look at these two teams in the matchup. I think we can all agree this is going to be a defensive ball game. I would just be utterly shocked if either one of these teams hit 30 points. I'd be shocked. I'd truly be shocked. And you got two fantastic defensive coordinators. Obviously, on the Clemson side, Brent Venables, what he's done there speaks for itself. On the Gamecocks side, you've got Clayton White. Again, what he's done in his short time at Columbia, it speaks for itself. The job he's done turning this unit around. And so I could be wrong, but I kind of view this game as, on one hand, you could say, hey, the Gamecocks have nothing to lose. Clemson's going to be desperate. They're both going to be extremely aggressive in their play calling and want to go for an early knockout blow. On the other hand, I more see this game being sort of a slow, sloppy, like two heavyweight fighters kind of feeling each other out. And my question is this: which defense flinches first? Which defense is going to flinch first in this one, right? Because I think it's going to come down to, again, you look at the history of this rivalry and the series history. Winning the turnover battle is a huge thing. You look at guys, you look back at when Carolina was dominating Clemson, won 5 in a row. What was the thing, the constant variable year after year after year? The Gamecocks for winning the turnover battle, right? opportunistic turnovers. They were taking advantage of every Clemson mistake. And Clemson on the reverse, they've been doing that to the Gamecocks the last 6 times they've won in this series. So I expect, again, these two teams, these two offenses to be like heavyweight fighters, feeling each other out. I wouldn't be surprised the game started out pretty slow, but which defense makes that big mistake first? Which defense blows that coverage, misses that assignment? Which defense is going to flinch first? Because, again, momentum, of course, in a rivalry game, guys. I mean, momentum's big in any football game, but especially in a rivalry game with all the emotions, it's huge. Will it be Clayton White's unit or will it be Brent Venables' unit? Which defense flinches first in this one? Because, again, hey, in a game like this, it comes down to 5 or 6 plays. 5 or 6 plays will determine the winner of this football game. Those 5 or 6 game-changing, momentum-changing type of plays. And I think those plays, most likely, guys, are going to be plays made by each individual defense. So, which defense flinches first? That's the question I have. And my final storyline, guys, is this. And this is something I talked about weeks ago. But I wanted to make sure we gave attention to the task at hand of the game that South Carolina had. I did not want to look ahead or anything like that. But now we can talk about it, right? Now we can talk about it. What's so intriguing to me about this football game, outside of the actual players themselves on the field, the coaches, whatever, the dynamic of this year's rivalry matchup. And again, South Carolina, of course, not coming in with nearly the pressure we thought they may have because you've already locked up 6 wins, right? You've already locked up 6 wins. With that being said, though, this feels like an old school South Carolina Clemson game. And here's what I mean by that. Growing up, guys, for me, early 2000s, when I really latched onto the Gamecocks and became a diehard fan, right? I grew up knowing Gamecocks football as a 5 to 6 win a year program. And I also grew up knowing Clemson as a 5 to 6 win a year program, right? After they won their title in the early 80s and 81, that's kind of what they became. South Carolina and Clemson were sort of on that same level. And each and every single season, success or failure was deemed based off this one game at the end of the season. Now, that subsided, right? When Steve Spurrier took over and, he made it very clear, ripping down the beat Clemson signs. And, hey, our season's much bigger than Clemson. We're here to win the SEC and compete for SEC titles. And we're focused on SEC games. And the season's not all about beating Clemson. Let's focus on winning the East, winning the SEC. Beating Clemson will take care of itself. And that was sort of a culture shock for Gamecock fans, right? And again, I don't have to explain to you how much Clemson fans hate the University of South Carolina, their little brother syndrome, the mouth breathers, the crayon eaters, the way they act when this week comes, it speaks volumes for itself. But you think about how this rivalry evolved when Spurrier got there and then Dabo took over and, 2009 to 13, right? The Gamecocks were realistically, they were competing for SEC East titles, went to the SEC championship in 2010. So, while the rivalry was still very big, very important, the Gamecocks were having successful seasons no matter what. And, hey, so was Clemson going to the ACC championship. I mean, you look, when South Carolina was beating them 5 years in a row, guys, they were going to the ACC title and winning the ACC championship. So their entire season, while it was very big, did not solely hinge on that game, success or failure, if that makes sense. Fast forward from 2014 to 2019, the last time the two teams played, Clemson then rose to national prominence and going to the college football playoff and winning national titles. And so the Carolina Clemson game, again, while very important, was not the end-all be-all for Clemson football during that time. The dynamic, guys, again, back to what I said, the dynamic of this year's rivalry matchup, what's so intriguing to me is, again, for the first time in what feels like forever, for both sides, success or failure of this season will be deemed based off of the results of Saturday night's game. And again, that is not me saying I think this season for South Carolina has already been a success. Getting to a bowl game in Shane Beamer's first year, already a success. But again, you all know as well as I do, there was a very, very large portion of the Gamecocks fan base. I would almost argue the majority that, again, it doesn't matter if you go 11-1. There are many fans out there, believe it or not, that still to this day would rather go 1-11 and beat Clemson than go 11-1 and lose to Clemson. And believe it or not, guys, it's the same way on the other side. They'd rather go 1-11 and beat South Carolina than go 11-1 and lose to the Gamecocks. And again, for the first time in a long time, that dynamic has returned. That dynamic has returned. This is truly the Super Bowl of the season for both sides. Because again, on one hand, you've got the Gamecocks who, yes, have already hit 6 wins. They've already gotten to 6 wins, already gotten to bowl eligibility in Shane Beamer's first year. We're riding high in Columbia. But when I talked to Alex McGrath on Tuesday, this is the point I was making. Why is there a lot of pressure on South Carolina to win this football game? I'll tell you why. I talked about Florida and Auburn and the way the quote-unquote stars aligned in the ball games, right? I talked about that. And so you look at this game against Clemson. Clemson's had a down year, right? They're 8-3. They were a preseason top 5 team, had dreams and aspirations of the playoff and DJ Uiagalelei being the next Trevor Lawrence. Nothing has gone the way they wanted it to. They've had injuries. They've had transfers. They've lost games. They've had games that were super close that they could have lost, that they had no excuse being in that type of ball games. They have not been the team they expected to be. Turmoil has struck Clemson football, right? And now you've got that team at home, at night, coming off a huge win against Auburn. You've won 2 of your last 3. It kind of feels like you really need to seize the moment this year, guys. You really need to take advantage because, hey, Clemson's roster, and I think it's what's so maddening to their fans and Vegas bettors as well, that, they continue to be overvalued like I talked about yesterday. That's what drives them batty, is that Clemson's still got a roster full of like 5 stars. They've still got a roster full of great players, and they're still recruiting at a high level. So is the dynasty officially dead? Or will Clemson bounce back next year and be a 10, 11, 12 win team yet again? I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But I tell you what, you better take advantage of Clemson while you can. You better take advantage of Clemson while they're quote unquote down, if you will. So I think that's why, again, at home, at night, guys, it sets up for you to do so. So I think that's why there's pressure on the Gamecocks. And then, of course, on the Clemson side, their season has already been a disappointment, right? They've already fallen short of expectations. Beating South Carolina will not cure all their woes, but I tell you what, they lose to the Gamecocks, they'll strike this season from the record books. They won't even count this one. So for both sides, there's a lot hanging on this ballgame. There's a lot hanging on this ballgame. And I tell you what, that is such a positive for this rivalry and the health of this rivalry, because it's been a while, guys. It's been a while since we could say that. But the dynamic of this one, it's so interesting. I think both fan bases will be on the edge of their seats. Both fan bases will be more emotionally invested, if that's even possible, than they ever have been before, because this is truly the Super Bowl for both of these teams and both of these programs in the year 2021. And again, I tell you this, in a funny way, in a beautiful way, it's a great thing to see, because it makes the rivalry that much more fun. So again, that dynamic, I think, so interesting. So much on the line for both of these squads in this game on Saturday night. All right, guys, let's move on to key matchups to watch. There are some great ones in this game, and I talked about the running games, the line of scrimmage. When you're talking running games for the Gamecocks, you got to talk Zaquandre White going up against the great Clemson linebacker, James Skalski. Again, do I like James Skalski? Not really. Do you? Probably not. But Skalski, you got to tip your cap. 91 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. Guys, like I mentioned earlier, and Quan White has done a great job of this over the last few weeks. There are going to be plenty of times you're going to get a hat on a hat. and you're going to have it well blocked, but it's going to be up to your running back to make a guy miss. And Skalski's going to be that guy who most likely is going to be there in the hole waiting for you. So can Quan win that one-on-one battle against Skalski? I would really say he is the heart and soul. He is the quarterback of that defense. He is the leader of that group. And again, you need to get this running game going. Can a guy like Zaquandre White, can he do it yet again? What does he have in store for his encore, we say? Can he do it yet again? Can he win that one-on-one matchup against one of the better linebackers, I'd say, in all of college football? So again, Zaquandre White against James Skalski. If the Gamecocks are going to get the running game going, that one's got to go in Carolina's favor. Guys, my second key matchup to watch for. I talked about the struggles with this Clemson passing game and defenses being opportunistic. Which defense flinches first? You could also say which defense makes the big play first. Which defense gets the game-changing, momentum-changing turnover first? And a matchup that'll go a long way in determining that because, again, I think South Carolina is going to sell out to stop the run, which is going to make Clemson throw quarterback DJ Uiagalelei against defensive back Jalen Foster. Again, we all know the story with Foster, the season he's had. He's been absolutely incredible. Coach Simpson 2.0, Jalen Foster 1.0, I should be saying. The year he's had has been truly remarkable. They asked Clayton White on Wednesday about, is he an all-conference player? That is an insane question. If Jalen Foster is not on the all-SEC team, I'm going to raise hell. But you look at DJ Uiagalelei's numbers, guys. 9 touchdowns. 8 interceptions. So he's thrown a pick. He's thrown a pick to nearly every touchdown he has thrown, completing just 55% of his passes, guys, and he's only averaging 178 yards per game. Again, stopping the run is key. But if you can get DJ Uiagalelei in those obvious passing situations and bring the pressure, he's shown, hey, he'll throw it up. He'll make a mistake. And a guy like Jalen Foster will be there to make him pay. And guys, my final key matchup to watch is this. I've been talking defense. I really, truly think defense is the story in this one. Again, I'm still not ready, believe it or not, guys, to make my official prediction. That will drop tomorrow. But I think defense is going to be the story. I think these two teams are very similar in the regard that they are riding their defenses throughout this season, and I think that will again be the case on Saturday night. Which defense is more opportunistic? Which defense can create those big plays? And again, I'm so excited to watch the chess match. That is two fantastic defensive coordinators go at it. My final key matchup, Clayton White for the Gamecocks against Brent Venables of Clemson. Brent Venables, excuse me. I'm sorry, whatever. The battery acid snorter, whatever, however you say his name. Brent Venables. Clayton White against Brent Venables. Going to be one hell of a matchup. Again, guys, both these teams going to want to ride their defense. You know, South Carolina has been very complimentary of Brent Venables all week long about how multiple the defense is and everything they do, blah, 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 whatever. Let's put some respect on Clayton White as well. And what he's done, the way he's turned this unit around. He's shown time and time and time again to have a game plan more than adequate enough to give some of the best teams in college football real problems. So again, these two gentlemen are going to be responsible really for the way this game goes. Clayton White, Brent Venables, the two defensive coordinators, going to be a lot of fun to watch them do battle because again, guys, I truly do believe it's going to come down to the defenses. It's going to come down to the defenses. Both of these offenses sort of are what they are. They're inconsistent. They struggle mightily at times. Both are going to want to lean on their defenses to lock in a W in this one. Guys, let's get to my keys to the game for Saturday's matchup of the Gamecocks take on the Clemson Tigers under the lights at Williams-Brice Stadium. Guys, my first key is this. Again, I've taught line of scrimmage, what Clemson presents, what the Gamecocks present. You can talk emotions, you can talk statistics, you can talk, skill positions, and this guy, and this is his 40, and this is his vert. Damn it, it's going to come down to physicality. It's going to come down to who's going to move the pile. Who's going to be more physical in the trenches. That's my first key. Be the more physical football team. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, guys, but hey, guess what? it ain't no secret. There ain't no secret sauce of what you got to go do. Be the more physical football team. Take it upon yourself that when you line up from that man wearing the orange helmet, I'm going to whip his ass. Bottom line, I am not going to lose my one-on-one matchup. Shane Beamer harped on it this season. We got to win more one-on-one matchups. Don't be that guy that loses your matchup. Win your one-on-one matchup each and every single time. Be the more physical football team. Establish that early. You know what? It's going to be a long night for the boys wearing orange. A long night, because we're going to push you around. We're going to put you in the dirt, set the tone, and set the tempo early by being the more physical football team. That's key number one. Number two, I talked about in this series, the history of this rivalry, guys. You look back to when the Gamecocks were beating Clemson on a yearly basis. What were they doing? What was the constant variable year after year after year? They were forcing turnovers, and they were taking care of the football. They were winning the turnover margin. And again, you might say, Chris, that's so obvious. Like, no duh, you got to win the turnover margin to win the game. But for South Carolina guys in this game, it's paramount. Protect the football. I trust that we're going to get a couple of our own. We're going to force turnovers. This defense is proven they're going to be opportunistic, but the Gamecocks must protect the football. Jason Brown must take care of the football. Protect it at all costs. End every possession in a kick, whether that be a punt, whether that be a field goal, whether that be an extra point. End every possession in a kick. Protect the football at all costs, because if you lose the turnover margin, I highly doubt you win the football game. Highly doubt it. And my final key to the game, guys, is this. Again, you can probably hear it in my voice. You've seen me on social media all week long. The emotions are at an all-time high. Guys, I have not been this fired up for a Carolina-Clemson football game probably since 2013. Because again, rivalry week is rivalry week, right? But it's really hard to pretend like or act like your team isn't going to get pummeled, right? And that's what we felt when Will Muschamp was the head coach. I mean, bottom line, this game wasn't even close. Was not even close. So the emotions are at an all-time high. You can hear it oozing out of me, I'm sure. But for the players on the field, all the emotions, all that, you've got to subside that. Put that aside. At the end of the day, it's a football game. It's going to come down to fundamentals. It's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to doing the little things right. And all those little things added up are going to be the big thing, which will be the end result. And that's who's going to win the football game. So my final key to the game, guys, hey, use it as fuel for sure. Channel that aggression, right? But control the emotions. Control the emotions. Keep your emotions in check. Hey, if Clemson wants to be over-emotional and make a stupid penalty and have a late hit and talk trash, let them do it. Don't get in their way if they're trying to make a mistake. Let them do it. Handle your business. Take care of your business. Again, we as the fans, we can and will go crazy, right? We can and we will, and we should. But for the guys on the field, hey, it's another ball game. It's a nameless, faceless opponent. You go out there, you handle your business, you keep things in check, and we can celebrate all night afterwards. So again, my 3 keys to the game: be more physical, protect the football, and control the emotions. You do those 3 things, I think you've got a great shot to win your first game against Clemson since 2013. All right, guys, that is my full breakdown of Saturday's game as the Gamecocks take on Clemson. Again, my full prediction will drop on tomorrow's show. I'll have my prediction ready for you all locked in. Will it be Carolina? Will it be that team from the upstate, God forbid? You'll find out tomorrow. All right, we got a ton of listener questions and voicemails in our conversation as well. Let's go ahead and dive into, we got one voicemail, and then we'll get into your questions.
What's up, Chris? I was wanting to get your opinion on something this weekend. I know we're all fuck Clemson, like there's nothing to be scared about, but what do you think is the best chance we have of taking over a defense like theirs? I'll give you my opinion. I think we definitely need to the O-line needs to be on their A game. We have to get the run game going. But I think something we really need to use is utilize these big boys. Utilize Nick Muse, Jaheim Bell, E.J. Jenkins. I mean, him and Brown have a chemistry from the past school. I think our defense is going to do their job. As long as our defense does their job, we get the run game going, and we utilize the big boys. It could be a 15-plus point win. I'm not even shitting you on that. Horrible weekend to be a Tiger. Big fan of the show. Listen every day on the way to school, work, whatever I got going on that day. Have a good weekend, buddy, and drink them if you got them, smoke them if you got them, bum them if you don't.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for the voicemail. That was awesome. Yeah, fuck Clemson first things first. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I definitely think offensively, it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage. I sound like a broken record. I've said it over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, Chris, we get it, but it is going to come down to moving bodies up front. I do agree with you, man, getting the tight ends involved. Jaheim Bell, Nick Muse. Maybe this is finally the game to E.J. Jenkins. Does he finally shine in this one? I don't know. But getting those guys involved. And again, I just think you need to be, establish the run game, be opportunistic in the passing game, pick and choose your spots when you get those one-on-one matchups. Like I said, you do those things. I think you got a great shot to win and move the football. You saying a 15-point win. Boy, I will sign up for that right now, my friend. I would love that. Would love nothing more. But again, thank you for the voicemail. Appreciate it. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, my dude. Okay, let's get into your questions. Cool. Gavin says, your favorite play from the series. This is a no-brainer for me, guys. 2013, Pharaoh Cooper to Brandon Wiles to ice the 5th consecutive win over Clemson. I was in the building. That was my first season having season tickets. Incredible. Number 2 for me would be Jad Dean's miss in 2006. I was watching that game in the garage with my grandfather. And that was actually as a Gamecock fan, because, I became a diehard Gamecock fan end of 2002, beginning of 2003. So my first ever Carolina Clemson game, by the way, was 63-17. So that was my welcome to the rivalry. So that 2006 game, that was the first ever win I ever saw the Gamecocks get over Clemson. How sweet that was. I mean, truly how sweet that was. Andrew Hudson says the only things Clemson fans can brag about is their football team. Very true. Hey, we're a well-rounded athletics department. Sucks to suck, Clemson. Parker_Godfrey says, who has more all-purpose yards, White or Shipley? I'm going Zaquandre White. I think we'll use White a lot in the passing game. T_Anderson005, how much trouble do you think Clemson's defense will be for us? I think it's going to be tough, no doubt. Their defense is very, very good. No question. They got good players over the defense. I think it'll be a challenge. But again, I think it's going to be a defensive game on both sides. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. That number 43.5. I know that seems pretty low, but I'm thinking it's going to be 20-17, 23-20, like something like that. I think it's going to be a fairly low scoring game. So, you got to figure out something. Again, it all starts up front. Can you run the football? Can you protect Jason Brown? If you can do those things, you give yourself a chance. Final question here. KJ Gonzalez says, win or lose, I'm just glad Thanksgiving is a holiday again in Columbia. #Beamer Ball. Love that. Yes, Thanksgiving is a holiday, not just a meal. Kudos to Shane Beamer. What a legend. Guys, hey, appreciate you all tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We got a great conversation lined up for you. Former Gamecocks defensive end and future NFL Hall of Famer, Johnathan Abraham. What a legendary conversation this was. Again, Johnathan Abraham all the way back from, I believe, May of 2019, guys. Again, this combo was forever ago. I think many people don't even realize we had him on the airwaves. So again, I'm really excited for you guys to hear this one, guys. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you may be a part of your Thanksgiving holiday, guys, I can't say thanks enough. So grateful here on this Thanksgiving for each and every single one of you that continue to tune in, show love, show support, rock with the content, rock with everything we do. And I'll leave you with this, guys. Again, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Truly, I hope everything with your food, family, festivities, whatever you're doing, hope you have a very blessed, peaceful, relaxing Thanksgiving, if you will. Enjoy the holidays, safe travels. If you're going anywhere, coming anywhere, going back to Cola, whatever it might be, Enjoy yourselves, guys. Again, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Don't go anywhere. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and enjoy this conversation with former Gamecocks defensive end John Abraham. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show is a man from Timminsville, South Carolina, that played his high school football at Lamar High School. He played for the South Carolina Gamecocks from 1996 to 1999 before being taken in the first round of the 2000 NFL Draft. Gamecock fans know him very well as he ranks 4th all-time with sacks with 23.5 at South Carolina and is 12th all-time in NFL history with 133.5 sacks to his credit. I'm very pleased to welcome to the show John Abraham. John, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's kind of go back to the beginning, John, for you, your high school career, if you will, because you had a very interesting, I was reading up on you. You had a very interesting beginning of your career in regards to, you only played 1 year of high school football. You went to Lamar High School, focused on other sports, and really weren't even sure you were going to be playing college football. You played your senior year of high school and then started to get recruited. Just kind of talk about, your football career, how it started and what led you to become a Gamecock.
Well, when I went, I played football all as a kid, as we always did. I think everyone played football as a kid, even the girls. But I think my first time trying to play football organized was 8th grade. I played quarterback, receiver, and defensive end, and like pretty much every other position you could play back in the day. I was number 88. But then the off season, I was planning on playing basketball, but that was kind of my first love. And, football was fun, but I really felt like I was gonna be a basketball player because I was already 6'4" and everything. So my first year, trying to play organized basketball, I actually sprained my ankle before the season started. I actually had a hairline fracture, and my mom had to come get me to school, so she told me not to play football no more. So I just pretty much focused my stuff on other things to do, like basketball, track, and pretty much band.
Okay. So, yeah, I know your final year of high school, obviously you jumped big back into football. You were being recruited lightly. I know South Carolina was one of the first couple of schools to reach out to you, and I know Brad Lawing was a big figure in that. Just kind of talk about what the recruiting process was like for you and why you chose to come to South Carolina.
It was actually funny to me because most of the things I was getting recruited from basketball, I knew nothing about football. I knew how to play, but I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about what schools were good, what schools were football schools, what schools were bad. I just knew that I wanted to stay somewhere in the state and somewhere close to home. I think my mom did most of the recruiting for me. She didn't really know about football, but she just had schools and coaches she liked, people she liked. My mom, the reason why I went to the University of South Carolina, she was the main reason because And I don't like to tell a lot of people that I was going to go to Clemson simply because I was used to playing a lot of different sports. I was used to being, and they, even if they were going to let me play or not, they were going to give me the opportunity to play football, basketball, and track. So, even if I missed that one, I have a chance to play another one. But my mom was like, you go there? I would never come see you. So, yeah, I was like, well, it was like, okay. I was like, well, I still play football. I could be close to home and stuff like that. So, all my Gamecock people and I guess Clemson people also. The reason why I pretty much chose that because my mom. I was a mama boy and she wanted me close to home. I mean, like I don't hate Clemson. I don't hate South Carolina State. I don't hate no team. I mean, except when we play each other. So a lot of people, they're diehard fans like that, and I understand why. But I just like to see how the state of South Carolina do good. I mean, I'm a Gamecock to the day I fly. Don't get it twisted. I would never tell somebody to go to Clemson over us now, but I had to get there before I had to realize, I chose the right school for me.
No doubt. And you talked about your mom obviously was very influential in your recruitment. Obviously the head coach of the Gamecocks at the time, Brad Scott. Just kind of talk about once you got on campus, your relationship. Again, I know Brad Lawing was very instrumental as well. Really, really great defensive line coach. But talk about just sort of your I guess your mom's relationship with Brad Scott, because I'm sure she had to feel very comfortable with him as well, you staying close to home but playing for Brad Scott. And what was your relationship like with him as well?
Well, I can honestly say the honeymoon was over. And I think it wasn't like, because it was kind of like they got me and it was it. I mean, I ain't trying to be rude or nothing, but they had other people recruiting, other people that really needed help. I didn't really need help. I had enough backing at home. I had enough personal stuff. I could handle stuff myself. So they ain't really had to talk to me a lot because I wasn't really a troublemaker. There was a lot of guys that they had to worry about, a lot of people leaving and stuff like that. I talked to Brad when I wanted to, but I didn't really I guess, I can call my mom if I need help. So, like me and Brad, I haven't really talked to either one of them after. I ain't talked to Brad since pretty much he left the team, and I talked to maybe Lauren not that much either. Not knocking them at all, but they actually have coaches. They have to meet new guys every year. So, but I can't say Rick Peacher was pretty much my main guy I talked to. He was my D-line coach for the 3 years I was there. He was like he coached like Warren Sapp. He coached a lot of guys in the NFL now. He's a great coach, but he did a good job coaching me. Brad Lauren was the guy who got me there, but Rick Peacher was the guy who made me the pro I am today. The one that taught me how to really play football and learn schemes and things. Not knock on Brad Lauren. He's the one who recruited me, but Rick Peacher was the one who made me the football player I am today.
No doubt. So you got on campus, obviously, fall of '96, and you started as a true freshman. Really played in all 11 games for South Carolina. Just 12 tackles, but 4 sacks on the year. Talk about what do you think you would attribute your fast start to as a freshman?
Being fast. I was just faster than everybody else, and also just the way the numbers. Having that we had nobody else to play the position at the time, I had it because I was sure I was gonna get redshirted because I was underweight. I might have was like 205, 210, and I wasn't planning on playing. But we had 2 good freshmen. Me and Matt Marsters. He also was a teammate of mine. He played also. He was a great. But he came in like 245. Just like the prototype defensive end that maybe they can bulk him up. See, I think now that it's a different day and time. So I should have been an outside linebacker, but we was in a 4-3. With my speed and agility, it was kind of tough though. But we wanted to be a 4-3 defense. So I think Matt could have been a good outside linebacker, and I could have been also. But in our scheme of things, they was planning on by the time we leave, we'll be 250 or something like that. But neither one of me and Matt ever got to 250 when we played. I think I got up to 230, maybe 235 at most. But it was just a scheme of defense. We was in a 4-3. But looking back now, I'm pretty sure we had a defense when me and Matt got there. We could have had a pretty good outside linebacker core. He could have been like Clay Matthews, and I could have been like almost like a Von Miller type players. We could have been, but our defense was a 4-3, so we had to stick to that. With the personnel we had, me and Matt had fit into the personnel, and we had. I ain't saying we really had a lot of skills, but we had the potential, and we had the speed, and we had the heart to want to play at a young age.
No doubt. So looking back on that '96 season, it's funny. Obviously, from most of those games in the mid late '90s, whatever, the TV coverage wasn't like it is now. A lot of your highlights from South Carolina, it's obviously kind of hard to find some. One that popped up immediately was your sack at Clemson. Your one win over Clemson while you were at South Carolina. You guys beat those guys 34-31 in Death Valley. You talked about you're a guy again that you pull for the state, and obviously you're a Gamecock through and through, but when did it click for you, I guess, as a player, just how big of a game the South Carolina Clemson rivalry was?
I knew it like when we got there, but when I played in the game, it's like time the lights came on over the rap. I mean, it was like when I saw, because I played with these guys every game. I mean, the guys that been there, I had seniors in front of me, but that game was so emotional. And I mean, every game was emotional, but when we got that game, we got in the locker room, guys were crying because they knew, first of all, it was a lot of our guys like either going to the playoffs or not. Well, not the playoffs at the time, going to a bowl game or not. So this was going to be their last game or they're going to another game. So we had to have that win. But I just saw the passion that these guys had at that game. Guys were crying in the locker room. They was crying in the thing. And that game, because it simplifies a lot, especially when you're trying to go to a bowl game and then it's your rivals. Because, a lot of people play their rivals in the middle of the season. We usually play Clemson at the end of the year. So it's going to be a big game regardless because you want to go out with a win, first of all, and it's a good recruiting thing. Like the reason I think Clemson get a lot of our recruits now and not South Carolina, like we haven't won a lot of the last games yet. So when it comes to you trying to recruit a player or something like that, especially an in-state player or something like that, you want to be able to beat the 2 big teams, and our big team is us and them. So I think that's how we lose a lot of players sometimes just to Clemson because right now they have the national championships. But I think once we beat Clemson one time. Like I thought we had them this year. We had a good thing in the second half. We kind of rolled off, but like small things like that going on recruitment. That game is so big for us, and it's more than just Clemson and Carolina. It's the last game of the year. It tells whether you go this kind of game. For us now, it's like knocking off the champions. So for us, it's really big now. Having most time for us it was like knocking people out of the situation. So for us, it's just going recruitment. They go into first of all, a year of bragging. It goes into what school you might go to, if you can talk to your friends. It goes into a lot of things. It goes into more than that. What kind of bowl you'll be in. So being the last game and being that it's an in-state rival, it goes into more than just being Carolina Clemson. They go into what school that a lot of kids would choose to go to.
No doubt. So obviously your numbers, John, they improved year after year at South Carolina, but I want to kind of go back and talk about maybe some of your former teammates. Obviously, South Carolina had some very capable guys on offense. It's funny, I was thinking that 96 season, I believe that was the year you guys smacked around Georgia pretty good at Williams-Brice. Deuce Staley had a big day that day. I know Anthony Wright was a quarterback that obviously, along with you, had a very, very successful NFL career. How much better do you think you got due to the fact you were facing those type of guys in practice every day?
Well, I can tell you about Deuce. Deuce got into some trouble. I can tell you about Deuce and A1 since you talk about Anthony Wright and those guys. Deuce got into trouble. So I don't know if you know what 2-a-days is, but you have to wake up at like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning and do mat drills, which lasts about an hour and a half, 2 hours straight. So Deuce used to come do mat drills by himself before us. Then he's coming doing us. So he'd be up like 3 in the morning doing mat drills by himself, just so he can prove that he wanted to play. Then he'd do mat drills with us. Then he had to do a full like practice or whatever. This all off-season. So when I saw him doing that showed me what kind of guy he was and the kind of influence he had as a leader. Like, he didn't talk a lot in school and stuff like that. I mean, he had friends and everything like that. Me trying to speak to him was just like, you can't speak to Deuce, that's Deuce. Because, he had the big two up there. He used to walk, like, Deuce. Like, he used to walk around campus. It was just like, and everybody was in awe because he was from Airport High School. So, but for me, watching him, just how he worked, I mean, he didn't care about, like, and he was a workout beast. I mean, like, he was just a workout beast. He wanted perfection and he wanted to be great. And like NFL, I think the NFL more for him was just a way to take care of his family. If you know about his mom and his family, like his brother passed away and a lot of different things his family people don't know about. Like, for more of him was getting out of the place he was and like picking people up. So that's kind of how football was for me. So when I watched Deuce, because a lot of people want the money and the fame. Deuce weren't really about the money and the fame. He really wanted to get his family in a better position and put his people in a better position. So that's why I watched Deuce. So for me, that's why Deuce always was like, even to the day, I still look up to Deuce. He's doing a hell of a job at Philadelphia, and I still look up to Deuce.
No doubt. So, like I mentioned, your numbers improved, obviously from your freshman, sophomore, junior year. You were all SEC, tons of accolades for you, but you go from 4 sacks in 96 to 6.5 in 97 to 7 in 98. What overall for you would you say was the biggest areas of improvement in your game, your things that you were working on to get better at that you think showed up on the field?
I started doing stuff myself. I stopped listening to the coaches sometimes because I knew I could do certain plays. It was and not knocking them though, but I think we taught each other. He was like, well, John, you're not gonna be able to do that. And then they saw like, well, he can do that. I started doing certain things like inside moves and still getting to the, like, because a lot of times they wanted me to stay outside, but I knew I was fast enough. If somebody tried to reach tackle me, I knew I could go inside and still get back up the field quick enough that the reach, I still could have kept contained. So I started learning myself, and I started learning like how to use my hands more. I started learning how to dip the corner. I started learning because I got tired of getting beat up so much in practice because, a lot of times we had a lot of running plays and stuff. So I used to hit. And I said, if I'm faster than this guy, why don't I just run around? And I had makeup speed, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So if I outran him, I could still keep running. So I learned myself, and I tried not to. I'm not trying to diss my coach. My coach helped me out a lot. So that's one thing I don't want people to say. But sometimes you got to prove your coach that you can do it and still get the job. Cause I get the job done. My coach, like Coach Peach, used to always tell me, he's like, John, if you mess up, make sure you get the play though. I don't care if you mess up. Now, if you mess up, just mess up at 100%. I said, okay, that's all you had to tell me, because I know I'm gonna do this wrong, but I'm still gonna try to make the play. So that's a good thing. So I learned how to do stuff. Then as I got older, I started making it click. So it became easy. I started reading tackles. I started, just reading stuff. But also, I had a lot of good people around me. If I want to circle back to Anthony Wright though, because I forgot about A1. Mm-hmm. I had Arturo Freeman and I had Ray Green also, older guys. So I don't know if you remember Arturo Freeman and Ray Green. Mm-hmm. They were two good friends of mine too. I saw Arturo suffer from getting hurt. I saw Ray being a good, certain kind of cornerback being out of position sometimes, and I watched those guys still pursue and still want to be challenged. And as A1, he was an offensive player, but coming from North Carolina, coming from another state, and trying to like run a South Carolina team and being a black quarterback. Not saying, but he was kind of like our first black quarterback. I mean, like literally, he got first black quarterback. He took the helm as a quarterback. He didn't care what color it was. He got in the huddle and portrayed it as, this is my team, period, blank. So I watched how he controlled it. And as I got older, like by my senior year, for my junior year, they still was like, no, by my junior year, I was trying to show them that this is my defense. Even though, my junior year, I wanted to be my defense. My sophomore year, I really wasn't ready. But by my junior and my senior year, I was like, this is my defense. I mean, I understand that y'all, but like, I'm going to be the guy. And that's how A1 was when he approached the huddle. That's how he was. Like, I don't care who you was. I don't care how long you was. It could be Zola Davis. Y'all could be seniors, freshmen. It could be Deuce. I don't care who's in the huddle. Y'all going to listen to me. And that's how I was. When I got in there, I wanted them to show that this is my defense. Even though that y'all might have these accolades in high school, that this is my team right here. By my senior year, I felt like it was almost my team, because I ended up getting MVP of the team. But by my senior year, people showed that everybody can listen. Offense and defense, everybody can listen. On offense, they kind of listen to the quarterback. But by my senior year, I think I had everybody's attention. So if I said something, they would kind of listen.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you talked about those junior and senior years. For you, obviously very productive. Over 60 tackles each season, 7 sacks in 98, 6 sacks in 99. Obviously, though, those seasons did not go how you wanted. Obviously, you guys win the first game in 98, then go on the 21-game losing streak. I read an article previously where you talked about, obviously as tough as those seasons were, how impressed you were with the passion of the fan base of South Carolina selling out basically every single game. Just talk about what you remember from playing in Williams-Brice Stadium and the passion of Gamecock Nation.
Like you said, it was just a passion. Like every time I came out, I was expecting like nobody to be at the game. Like we were playing Florida, we were playing Tennessee. I knew we was gonna get our butt kicked. It was just I knew we was gonna lose, and not like I still came out and played to win. You still do, but sometimes you playing against like T. Martin, and they on like just a running streak. Like as long as I knew we was playing well and everything, but then it got to a certain point. I was like, man, I'm putting a kick, But then people would be still in the stands, like still in the stands. I'm looking like, wow. Like every game I come in there, still be cheering. And it was just ridiculous to me because I've been around like other schools. Like we used to go to like certain schools, and you go to I ain't trying to call other schools. Like you go to Kentucky, we used to go to Vanderbilt, and the crowd be empty. I was like, God, they just automatically gonna give up on their team. And this is when we were losing 21 straight games, and they still was like, okay, we probably gonna lose to South Carolina. We be playing the best team in the league, and they still be their back. They'll be in that pack every day, and they still be cheering us on even after the game. We'll get them next time. And, not like it a bad thing. It was just like they honestly felt like, we played bad that game. But they looked at the positives in the game, and, they never knocked everybody. I've been around teams, that time you start losing, they'll just give up on you, and they'll just stop coming out. They'll feel like, I ain't going to waste my tickets. I ain't going to waste my time. But I can say when I was there, we never had an empty crowd like that. Like never. Like, maybe at halftime people died, they went and got them a drink or something. Who does that? Everybody does that. So, I had class in the morning. I don't know. But but I know every game was sold out when I was there though.
No doubt. So 98 was the end of an era, if you will, for South Carolina. Brad Scott obviously fired as head coach of the Gamecocks. I know you only played one season for him, but obviously Lou Holtz, the legendary head coach, Hall of Famer, hired at the end of 98. His 99 was his first season. And again, while it was a winless season, we obviously know what happened after that, 2000, 2001, the back-to-back Outback Bowl championships. Just talk about what was your relationship, if any, like with Lou Holtz, and what did you take away from him before you left for the NFL?
I will forever be in debt for Lou Holtz for moving me to outside linebacker my last year. We had this we actually, because most of our team was like freshmen. Like most of our team was built off freshmen and maybe a couple of we have high note freshmen coming out. We had like a guy called Marco Hutchinson come in. He was great. They were gonna put him at outside linebacker. I was still playing in, but I knew I was an outside linebacker in my heart. But and Marco wasn't really, I guess, handling like he wanted to. So like a week before the season started, he was like, John, you want to play outside linebacker? I was like, what? I know nothing about it. I don't know how to cover. I don't know. He said, look, you got a week. Do you want to do it? I said, hell yeah. So then that's how I started playing outside linebacker. I actually got drafted at outside linebacker. So me and Lou was always cool. Like Lou, like one time, at one point, I really thought Lou didn't like me because he never said anything to me. He never talked to me. And, I thought Lou was like he's talking to everybody else. And then one day I was at practice, and he said he came up to me, gave me a lifesaver. I said, "What is this for?" I didn't know. And he was kind of like, "Cousin, what if y'all be dead? You my lifesaver." And I was like, "Okay." And I said, and then I asked myself, I always wonder why you never talked to me. He said, "John, you're the only person I had to worry about. Hey, the only thing I worry about you going to study hall. Besides that," I was like, all right. And then after that, then he also told me, I guess he told a lot of people they was wondering about me being hurt all the time and just like that. And people told me like, Lou said you was one of the best defensive players he ever played. And I mean, he played with some big name players. And he said when healthy, he said the only reason why John gets hurt so much, he plays so hard. And he gave me a good name. So in the NFL, I ended up getting drafted so high compared to all the people was thinking like, "You sure he's gonna be this?" There was a lot of question marks around me because while we kept losing, while I was hurt here and there. I didn't miss no games, but people always say I was hurt because I was playing with a bad shoulder or playing with a bad ankle. So it's not like I missed games. They were just wondering why he keep getting hurt. But I was playing every play and I was practicing every play also. But Lou gave no better. He told no reason why. Why he was getting hurt so much, because he was, out there, just trying to work. So I always have a lot of like for Lou Holtz, like Luke asked me anything right now, and I was like, "Cool, do it." Because just as a man, he always treated me as a person like we never had any junk. And if I ever got out of place, he would tell me. So for me and Lou, I always have a big, like I guess, place in my heart for the Rovers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, like you mentioned, that it's obviously a good thing Lou Holtz didn't really have to say anything to you because you were doing your job and doing what you needed to do. But I've talked to some other guys. I know Lou Holtz was very, a hard-nosed guy, very tough on his players. Was there ever a time where he tried to get under your skin or get at you at practice or anything like that?
Oh, never. Only one time. I was before the season started. He's like, "I wouldn't change my number to number one." Because I said, "Well." No, and I know because I always wanted number one. I wanted to be like Leonard Little. If you remember Leonard Little era, he was a beast. I always thought Little one, I wanted to be like him. So I asked him, could I change my number? He's all right, John. You go out here and have a good week of practice. I'll give you the number. I was like, cool. So I had the worst week of practice I think ever and he said, "John, you really think that you deserve that number?" I was like, "No." He was like, he said, explicitly, he said, "John, you play like something that's in the toilet pretty much." And I'm like, "You're right." And I prefer it. So I didn't end up getting that number one, but it was still cool though. But I tried, and he was just like, "John, that was the worst I ever seen. That was the worst week." That was like he was right. That was the worst practice he told me. And after that, I stopped worrying about getting number one and start worrying about getting back into learning the defenses and playing and stuff, because I had to learn a whole new position in a matter of a week and a half. So I kind of didn't worry about that no more, and I started playing.
Absolutely. So you're taken in the 2000 NFL draft, John, 13th pick overall. Simply put, just kind of describe the feeling for you hearing your name called when you're selected by the New York Jets.
I could honestly say it wasn't no feeling. It was just like, because I knew it was coming, but I wasn't expecting it to come so early. So when I got hit, it was just like, I don't know if you ever been hit with a part that you have no emotion at all, and then you had to take like 4 or 5 seconds to think about it. I had to go in the bathroom and then understand, because what it was, I thought I was going to like San Francisco at like 16 or out of Carolina. Cause I told him, I said, if I go down too far, because I talked to Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was like, "Yeah, I'm taking you guys. I'm taking you." Because they had 13, but they dropped and they went to 16. So I was like, cool, I'm going to San Francisco. So I really didn't have I had no sense that I was going to get drafted until Sean Ellis got drafted right before me. And then we had the same agent. We was in the same place, standing right beside each other when they said, "Oh, they don't get Sean." And everybody was screaming and hollering and everything. And then my agent said, "John, come in." I'm like, what? Did they take you at 13? I'm like, what? So, I'm thinking, hold on. So I'm going to 2. So I had to go back and I had to walk away because, I had time between they call your name. So I went back and I was like, oh, so I'm going to New York for Sean. And I'm thinking the Giants, because I'm bad at it. I ain't really knew nothing about the Jets like that. I ain't going to lie to you. But I was like, oh, okay, the Jets. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to talk to these people, because I don't know what to say right now, because I was really thinking about talking about Bill Walsh and playing outside linebacker. but I still got to play outside linebacker. But my mind was like, okay, I ain't studying that. I'm gonna check. I don't know what they did in the last 3 years, so I was stuck. So then when they called my name, that's when I kind of broke down, and I hugged my mom, and that was it. But like my first knew I was going, you always know before, but right after Sean got drafted, so they drafted me. But back then they gave like 12 minutes in between, 15, 12 minutes, so you had so much time to get ready for them to call your name. So I had no emotions for like 3 minutes. I'm sitting here just blank, like, okay, what am I gonna do? I have no recollection. I have nothing about the Jets. The Jets called me the day before the draft and asked for my information. So literally, they didn't visit with me. They didn't come see my workouts. They didn't nothing. So I had no clue, like literally no clue. I think maybe Bill Parcells was the one that that triggered it, because I think he was looking for another outside linebacker that was kind of good, But I had no clue.
No doubt. It was something funny I was reading up on, too, is people forget. So the 13th overall pick, it was a pick acquired from Tampa Bay in exchange for Keyshawn Johnson, which is obviously a name that I think everybody knows. So very interesting stuff. Your pick was traded for Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah.
So, your rookie year, though. Yeah, go ahead.
I told Keyshawn, thank you. The first time I got him, I told you thank you. I was like, thanks, man. That's all I said.
No doubt. So your rookie season, 12 tackles, 4.5 sacks in only 6 games. Obviously, you were injured your rookie year. You bounced back big in 2001, 58 tackles, 13 sacks, and you're named to the AFC Pro Bowl in just your second season in the NFL. I'll ask you simply, John, again, sort of going from high school to college, what would you attribute such a fast transition to? Because obviously each level that you go up, the game gets quicker, the guys are better you're facing, but you seem to just flawlessly transition to that next level.
I can honestly say my track background, my basketball, my explosiveness and stuff like that. Because I know my I knew when I first got to when I got to college, I was running with receivers and stuff, and I know that's abnormal for a defensive lineman. Then when I got to the league, I still was running like with receivers and stuff. It was just like, and then I had a lot of players. I thought all the coaches sitting there watching me. They wouldn't say that to me. I said, I know my talking. They said, man, you all right. And like I used to make plays here and there, but a lot of players was just like, man, you gonna be special. And then a lot of my teammates started telling me. Then I was lucky to have Brian Cox my rookie year before I got hurt to school me on like how to learn how to play. So my second year, I was ready because all that time sitting and watching, seeing Sean doing good, seeing people working, I know I was like. And then, I was set to be like maybe the rookie of the year, but Brian Urlacher got it. I know we'd have been real close to each other because we was, I had some people to look at that I wanted to play like and everything like that, and but it was more like learning football, and I knew I had a capacity to learn football, and I always played football like it was football. I didn't play like I try to hurt somebody or kill somebody. When we were school, you play football. I played football just for fun. I tried to never put the check in front of it, which I hate people think, oh, John, you left because of the money. I had a long conversation with, actually, this is a funny story. I know I'm way off key right now. But it was a Jets form. And this guy was saying that, they were just telling me happy birthday. I just happened to see it yesterday. This story really happened yesterday. They were just saying, yeah, I hate John. He left because of the money. I was looking like, that year that I got hurt, the year before I left the Jets, I got hurt. And it was a knee. So I played like 12 games, had 9.5 sacks at the time. And they was like, well, John left for the money. But in the year after that, I played all 16 games and had 10.5 sacks and 6 college fumbles. I said, if I quit on y'all, why would I come back after that year that y'all said I quit? Like, why would I come back and have a better year than I had? You know what I mean? I came back and played. So you get what I'm saying? Like it was my year. I played my 5 years and I won a contract. You usually have to play a 5 year. You want a good contract, but I got franchised. But my franchise year, I came and played. I played 16 games, played every game, and had a better year than I had a year before. That's what I was saying. I said, are y'all really just looking at what the media say, or y'all watching that? And then they realized when I broke it down to them, they were like, yeah, it does make sense. If you played that year that you should have to play, after you got hurt and everybody said I gave up in the playoffs, which is ridiculous. I came back the next year and played every game and had better stats and everything. So it was kind of weird to me that people like listen to the media a lot, but when I got to Atlanta, the media don't really matter like that. People watch how you play, but the media, how the media in New York is. They'll say anything and people believe it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because you said you were reading the Jets forums and stuff. I mean, was that a big transition for you as far as just dealing with the media, because like you said, in New York, it's very cutthroat, obviously.
Yeah, it was easy. I came to Atlanta. They were just proud to see my first game. I balled out, and they already saw. I guess it's different. It's different in different cities. You know, like some people that all they can do is read the paper. And I'm not knocking New York media, but you know, like you see a lot of New York media is totally different. If they say something like most people don't have time to really watch TV in New York because everybody's busy, everybody working and everything. Because when I first got, instead of them seeing like my stats from college, they booed me, right? Because they knew who Johnathan Abraham was. So I had to play when I started playing. That's when they got me. But they booed me time. I mean, they knew Sean because Sean went to Tennessee. I went to South Carolina. We had really no footage, right? They wanted Chad first, and you know Anthony Beck went to a nice name school. So I was the only person coming from the 0-11 team, South Carolina. Never heard of them because we never really had no media like that. So, like I said, you think about New York, you got newspapers still. Who uses a newspaper really now? Nobody. You have a newspaper here. You got media here. They like that media company of the world. So most people just read the paper and they read from there, and then they judge the person they get. You know. Like you can have one bad day in New York and it can pretty much end your career. Like you live can have one bad day there. But you know in Atlanta they kind of like they're more forgiving. We got other stuff. We got real lives. Not saying New York people don't. So don't misquote me. But a lot of people they kind of like Wall Street. They read the paper. You know they go to the game, but they just hear about what happened or hear about something compared to people like in Atlanta. Like you know we have like more time to kind of sit there and watch the highlights. And like you know New York is a busy person. It's a busy place now. New York, you don't have time to really sit there and get to know the people like that, you know?
Oh, no. Hey, I'm not here to misquote you. Trust me, I'm on your side.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want the people from New York think I hate them or something. No, I'm not. You know, but New York is a busy place. Like, you know, yeah, it's a hustle bustle place. Like, I came to Atlanta, I was just like, wow, it's so cool. I came to the thing and I just signed this like big deal and everything. I'm thinking the media gonna be like, oh, John, you think this, that? They just came like, hey, how you doing? That's congratulations. You know, look like they got that talk, and I was just like, that's it. I'm expecting like all kind of questions about what I did in the past and everything like that. I was like, wow. So it's a big difference, though, you know. And I can honestly say, in Atlanta, I never got misquoted. And you know, I never got misquoted. And if something happened, it's kind of like I was unfortunate enough to have a DUI when I was young. I mean, it followed my career the whole time because I guess they had nothing else to talk about. I got into an altercation here. I wasn't drunk, but I got into an altercation here. I was trying to get home, and I was drinking that night, but it was kind of over it after that. They didn't keep bringing it back up. Like, you remember John got in trouble for this, John? And I say if you get in trouble, you own up to it, and you got to let it go. Because, you know, a lot of people that had did a lot of things in life that we'll never hear about because they're not in the media life. So one thing I said, when I came here, it was a lot easier. So leaving New York was tough on me because I got drafted by that team. Think about it. In high school, I was saying, I was Gamecocks. I wanted to retire the Jets. But, you know, stuff happened. Getting traded to me feel like I wasn't good enough to play anymore.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you were with the Jets from 2000 to 2005, obviously. It was a very good transition for you from 06 to 2012. You were with Atlanta. Your first couple years, again, 2006 and 2007 with Atlanta, solid seasons. But 2008, I'm sure you would agree, was really your breakout season, your best season in the NFL. You finished with 16 and a half sacks in 16 games that season. Just kind of talk about the 2008 season in Atlanta and just, I guess, sort of what clicked for you.
I can say numerically, but my best season to me was my last year. I played in Arizona because I got to play outside linebacker, and I played 99% of the plays. I didn't play the first 4 games. I mean, numerically, you can say that season was good, but
right.
I only played 63% of the plays. I didn't even make the Pro Bowl that year. That's what's funny. I didn't even make the Pro Bowl because they saying that, well, only thing he's just a situational rusher. I said, if I'd have played 99, we beat people by like 40 points, right? So instead of me being like a guy that wanted to get numbers, I should let some of my young guys get some play time. But see, now that I look back, like I was telling my nephew the other day, because my nephew stays with me now, you know, well, usually somebody stays with me. I like my family around me. But I was telling him, I said, man, if I knew what I knew now, if I knew people were going to judge me from like trying to get everybody else in the game, I would have stayed in the game and got my numbers up. Because I remember one game we played in Oakland that year. I played 7 plays, had 3 sacks and 3 caused fumbles, but I came out the game but only 7 plays. But if I knew now, I would stay and got some more numbers. They weren't really a numerical thing for me. It was like, as long as we win the game, I was happy. You could ask a lot of my teammates. I wanted, like, usually after halftime, I was done. Like, I might play right to the third quarter, but we rarely played. Like, the year we went 14-2, we had a great year. I was rarely playing because we was winning. So instead of staying in the game trying to get the trash sack, I just call them trash sacks. I mean, you get a sack. I mean, you're still getting a sack, but, you know, a team down 35-0, they got their quarterback, and you know they're going to throw. I just get my little young guys in there so they can get a taste. And you can ask the people, but when I played Arizona, I didn't start the first 4 games, but then we had a few people got hurt. Then when I got my starting position, I played like 99% of the plays, and that's how I wanted to play. An outside linebacker can do it, but at defensive end, it's a little tougher to play 99% of the plays. It's tough. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's tough. You know, especially if I'm winning a lot, I want to get my other teammates. You know, I want to get them to look at, because a lot of guys are kind of scared to lose their jobs. You know, I never had no problem letting nobody else in the game. I thought he was better for that position. But when I was in Arizona, they let me play. So it took me back, because I never got to start at outside linebacker until then. My whole career, I came in the league as an outside linebacker. I didn't start my rookie year, but I was working into the starting position and got hurt against Lincoln. I knew I was going to be starting the week after that. I got hurt that year, and then we went there the next year. Herm came and put me back to defensive end, and I was like, dang, I'm going back. And I knew outside linebacker was my position to be. So then I played defensive end most of my rest of the career. Then I finally got to be outside linebacker again my last year, playing a whole season. And that was my best year to me. I mean, I got to cover. They could show I can cover everything. But I'm saying, if I could have played at my entire career, if I could have played outside linebacker, if I could have got in the 4-3 defense, something like that, I think my numbers would have been crazy.
No doubt. So kind of switching gears here, because I want to, go back sort of your time in Atlanta. It started out, I mean, as far as the Atlanta Falcons organization, just that team in general, things were very interesting. Obviously, you're dealing with the Michael Vick stuff that was going on with the dogfighting scandal. Bobby Petrino, I know, was your head coach in 2007, and he bailed for the Arkansas job. I mean, I'm sure you didn't let that stuff affect you, but I mean, did you envision such a long, successful career in Atlanta with kind of the way it started from the organizational standpoint?
I did, because I trusted Arthur Blank. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I can say, losing all no games in college showed me that there always be a turnaround. I signed up for the long haul. I signed up for 6 years, so I wasn't going nowhere. If it would have took us, like, even to now, if I could have played tonight, I was stuck with it. I just happened to get cut from the team, but I was gonna stick with the Falcons for real. They gave me the chance. There was no way I was trying to go nowhere. Like, if it would have took us, for how long it would have took us out of state. So, and I believe in Arthur Blank, and I believe in Rich McCray. So whatever they did, I was gonna ride with. And I knew we had a nucleus that could have got us, there. I was kind of disappointed that we got rid of Jim Moore my first year, and and even with even like me leaving Atlanta at the time I left when we lost to San Francisco, I thought we could have had another year together. We could have had a team that could have made it to the championship game. So I never got a chance to play in the Super Bowl. So for me it was a little. It's still heartbreaking here now, but it's been about 6-7 years now, so I'm kind of over it now. But I think it all. You're always looking to pass that if and that, but so.
Yeah, I was going to actually jump to that. Obviously, again, your career in Atlanta went very, very well. I wanted to jump again because, like you mentioned, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 2012 was certainly the closest you ever came to the Super Bowl. Falcons had a fantastic year that year. You guys go 13-3. You obviously played with some fantastic players, notably Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez, Thomas Deku, Willie Moore. I mean, it just named obviously yourself. That was a fantastic team. You guys again go 13-3 overall. You face Seattle. You get the first round bye. You face Seattle in the divisional round and win that game 30-28. What I remember was a fantastic game, back and forth game. I think you guys hit the game winning field goal, and then San Francisco comes to town with Colin Kaepernick. Just kind of talk about again. I hate to make you relive it, John, but as far as getting that
it don't
close,
bother me. It's been so long ago. Like at one time I ain't even watched the game. It took me about 4 or 5 years to watch the game. I just finally watched the game. I'm serious. I finally watched the game in entirety. Maybe last Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole game. Well, first of all, it was bad coaching. And I ain't trying to make this over now. Mike Smith shouldn't have had us in the game that late. I ended up getting hurt in that Tampa game. It was a game we didn't need. I understand why he did it, but that was just a bad coaching call. So I ended up getting hurt, and I hurt my ankle in the game, and it kind of messed me up for the playoffs. I was ready to play, and we ended up going to San Francisco, and I was playing like half a percent, so I couldn't play the whole game like I wanted to. And that's a personal spot on me. But, if we already got home field advantage and this game means nothing besides us being 15-1, you kind of take your players out. You play like maybe first half and you take them out and then I end up getting hurt. So for me, it was just bad coaching. But, I was trying to be a coachable player. And even in games that we've played that mattered, they would take me out of the game at the end of the game. So I was looking like, what we did, 4-4, it was like 4 minutes left. We ain't going to win. And the players already told us they were trying to hurt us. That's why that coach ended up. I'm like, okay, so, but, it is what it is. But I think personally, our game plan was perfect at one point because I talked to a lot of people because I used to work out with Frank Gore and I used to work out with, I think it's Davis, like Vernon Davis in Miami on the offseason. And they said they was crying at halftime. They knew we won that game, and we did too. But it was, just unfortunate, I guess you can say. It's hard to say because I watched, and I forgot Matt had 2 turnovers in the last couple minutes. I saw we was going down. I think he threw an interception. Then it was like an uncautious fumble or something. I tell you, when I said
he dropped it, yeah.
Yeah, when I said I watched the game, I literally forgot about all this stuff. I just remember not playing. Like I played a lot in the game, but I just remember not playing as in I wasn't healthy. But I saw us winning, so in the game, then it got kind of out of hand, and we was kind of going down. I had to watch the game again because my memory was kind of like, we played great. They played like, my memory was totally off because I was in the game, but I wasn't. And I remember every time I came out the field, I feel like they were taking me out of the game. So when I watched the game, I played a lot, but I didn't play it myself. I fell down a lot. So for me, watching the game was kind of just getting over it, and for me, watching it got me over. And, it was just, and there was some bad calls at the end on our side, because you seen that last pass that Matt threw, that was pass interference on but they didn't call it. I mean, we got a lot of bad calls in that game, too. I watched the game over, and I was like, I don't know, maybe San Francisco was a better team. I don't think Kaepernick really won that game. I think we lost it. And, but it did get his name out. If we would have won that game, I don't know if we would have really been talking about Kaepernick that much. Not saying it, not in a bad way. I'm just saying what I think, because we would have won that game. We would have been in the Super Bowl with Baltimore. I knew we would have beat Baltimore. We had Baltimore's number 4. We had their number. We was hoping, man, we get to Baltimore. We saw Baltimore, we man, we would have killed them. We just had their number, every year we played them. You can look at the stats. We had Baltimore number. I can't remember Baltimore really beating us at all. And, and that's when Turner was still turning a little bit, and we had the squad that year. I think we had the squad to do it all. And, everybody said it. I just wish we had one more year after that to get one more shot. I think we would have had a better team. I think letting even letting Dante go and Turner go. Because Turner had a bad year that year, but I think he still could have bounced back. He played hurt a lot that year, but we made it without him that year. So I think bringing him back would have helped the offense. It would have balanced the offense out some more. Because I think he had some more. I think he had some more yards in him. It was just I had a lot of bad years when I got hurt. Playing hurt. I think the year I had 5.5 sacks. It was like, John, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, look, man, my cornerback sucked. I told him I don't like to talk shit like that. And I came back and made the Pro Bowl that next year. I came back and got my numbers back up to 13. I said, look, it was like my corner. I'm getting there 2 seconds, and the ball was already out. Then we went and got Dante, went and got Asante Samuel, went and got cornerbacks to really do something. Then I had a Pro Bowl year. So, it's all about, different things. People don't understand that. It's all about different stuff. You got to understand. One player can't really win. One player can win games for you, but not really. Matt Ryan is great because he got great receivers. Julio's great because he got Matt Ryan. Everything coincides. You still can be a great player, but you got to have that person that can work with you, I guess.
No doubt. So when I say to you, John, that, John Abraham, the all-time sacks leader for the Atlanta Falcons, how does that make you feel?
I really don't care. I didn't accomplish half the stuff I wanted to while I was there. And I keep forgetting that it's me. You couldn't tell if you didn't know unless somebody tell you, right?
Oh yeah.
You don't really hear about my name no more, about the Falcons and everything like that. I think some stuff like that. I think someone else. Like my thing is, it's not really that big because that's not what I didn't come there to be the all-time sack leader. Like I didn't know a lot of stuff I did to people after people told me. Like when I got 100 sacks, I didn't know nothing about it. I knew I was like ranked. Like when I got to 100, that's when I started paying attention because I was like, oh shoot, I got 100 now. Okay. Then I saw how close I was to being in the top 5 and maybe the top 10. And I got the top 10. I started paying attention. I think when you start paying attention to your number, you start taking away from your game. You know what I mean? And I always played like I'm not worrying about getting a sack in this game. I want to get a sack in every game. That's period blank. That's what I want to do. But like I guess when I looked, somebody showed it's funny because this literally happened this week. My friends like check this dude's stats. Like you think that's Hall of Fame number? He had like 133 and a half sacks. That was 12 overall. And he had like I think tackles behind the line was like 7th overall and number 2 and number 3 in calls fumbles. I said, hell yeah, that's Hall of Fame number. I said, dude, that's yours. I was like, shit. I was like, I ain't knew that. I think it was number 3 or number 2. I didn't know, but I was like, he literally like showed me the numbers. He said, man, what you think these numbers? You think these Hall of Fame numbers? I was like, hell yeah. Like he's 12th overall already. But see, I was 9th when I finished. And I think I was first at Scripps at the time when I finished playing. But he was showing me stuff, so I was just like, yeah, that's the first ballot right there. He was like, so he pretty much in top 10 in all categories when he done. And I didn't even pay attention to it. And then he looked and he showed me, but that's you. I was like, yeah. That's funny as hell though. That literally happened there, and I'm not hyping myself up because I never paid attention. But I'd say I was hanging at a restaurant where I always eat every day. And I guess I think the NFL throwback. They be showing people that had good players or might possibly be Hall of Fame there to show whether they're Hall of Fame numbers. And my friend was just like, hey man, check this out. And I'm not paying no attention. I'm sitting there eating and everything, joking around with a lot of people. And he showed it to me. He said the Hall of Fame numbers, and I'm looking like, yeah, dude, 12 sacks. I think he's trying to say they're a guy that like maybe just retired or just like that. And he got them numbers already. I was like, yeah. He told me it was mine. I was like, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, I'm glad you just answered my next question because I was going to ask you. I know that you were inducted in the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, but I was going to ask you your opinion. Did you feel like you deserved to be in the NFL Hall of Fame? I would take that as a resounding yes, without a doubt. And I would say yes as well.
I would.
Your numbers say so.
At first, I was going to say maybe like when I get older, but looking back now I mean, literally, that guy had to show me the numbers, like how I finished, and you see all that playing 15 years, and like I even say the percentage of plays I played. Think about how many times I didn't, like how many times I got hurt, and you take it. Yeah, I would say pretty much yeah. And I'm not. I hate saying stuff like that because I don't like. But see, I think if I would have won a championship or had a defensive player of the year or something like that, I think it would have been easily like first ballot. But since it wasn't that. Because Mike Strahan wasn't even first ballot. He won a championship. I think he finished 5th over. When he finished, he was 5th overall. He had 141 sacks. So I was hoping to catch him in sacks because I knew my other numbers might have him like script fumbles and tackles for losses. I knew I probably had him on them, but he didn't go to first ballot. So I can't really. If I get there, I'll be happy though, because right now I'm doing a trifecta. I got athlete Hall of Fame, South Carolina, so I'm not really tripping though, because I think when people worry about it too much, I mean it'll be a big trip, but I don't think I'll be first ballot. There's some of the people behind me that should be in there that I think should get in there also. Because we look back like how many guys that you thought was in there that's not. But I think looking now, like I got to see the numbers when I finish. I think I finished first in script fumbles when I finished. And I don't know what I was tackle or loss, but I know I'm 7th now. But I know I finished 9th and overall in sacks or whatever. So I think looking back, like looking at the numbers, if you was to show my numbers and ask me, I'll probably say yeah. But I think once you pass Lawrence Taylor and anything,
no doubt,
Thomas, you should. And I'm not saying that because Derek Life got cut short, and LT played in a different era. But I think once your numbers pass them, you kind of like. Not saying you should automatically be in there, but you should be pretty close. Cause you see how long it took Kevin Green to get in there, though, and stuff like that. So hopefully, but I really wasn't a media guy like that. I didn't do a lot of stuff like that. My main thing was football, and I think a lot of times at the end that kind of hurts you you see a lot of guys that you know that should be like automatic in there, but you know when they kind of don't do this and don't do that, people don't really pay them attention, you know. Because I didn't know my numbers that good myself, and they're my numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Again, I mean, you finished 133.5 sacks, 48 forced fumbles, 6 fumble recoveries. I mean, yeah, 444 total tackles. The stats definitely speak for themselves. I want to move, John, your career post Atlanta, March 1st, 2013, you're released by the Atlanta Falcons. The Arizona Cardinals signed you in July of 2013. You had a really good year for them in 2013, 11.5 sacks. And I believe you talked about earlier, you felt like that was your best year overall in the NFL because of the moved outside linebacker. But September 2014, you suffer a concussion. And, I know the next season, obviously, you're placed on IR due to the concussion. Is that something that, would you say that that sort of made the decision easy for you to call it a career in the NFL?
Yeah, it took me a long time. I gave Bruce Arians a lot of calls at night, like, I'm coming back. But my doctor told me, like, I was bleeding on both sides of my brain. Like, I think I still suffer from memory loss here and there, But I literally was losing credit cards. I lost a phone like a day. I was forgetting my name and stuff. I couldn't remember, like, where I was. I was passing out in places and waking up and didn't know where I was. So I think it was the best thing ever that happened to me. Because even Bruce is probably my savior. Because I was going to quit. When I started the season, I just didn't feel right. And I was like, man, I'm going to retire. Bruce like, no, just try to play, John. Just give me life. Just play. Usually when you play, you get your mind back right. You are started. So I went, played, and I don't even know what play it was. I can't even lie. I think I read back on. I think we were playing San Diego. I don't even know what team we was playing, but I was out, and Bruce was like, man, I went to the hospital the next day because I literally couldn't remember that. And I was trying to like focus everything together and everything like that. And then I went to the doctor and he said, well, John, we found these small spots on both sides of your brain. Like, you really can't tell, but they're little spots that you're bleeding on both sides of your brain. That might be the reason why you can't remember stuff like that. I was like, it takes like that. And it wasn't even a big hit. I took a lot of big hits more than that, but I had a couple seizures and stuff like that. Things like that I'm glad it happened then. And it took me a while. I went on a binge just going out every night, partying, trying to do this, trying to do that, because I thought I was going to die, because they said if you get hit in the head, you'll die again. So, but now it's like, it's pretty much healed now. It's been 5 years now. And I don't have the seizures no more. I don't, I'm pretty much back to Johnathan Abraham pretty much. You see how I talk now. Like, you try to talk to me back in the day, I probably say something off the wall. I probably curse or say something that I know. No, it took me. But I started listening to Mozart. Like if I would tell people they do concerts, like start listening to Mozart, start listening to, try to do stuff. And first of all, don't change yourself. Don't go to extreme. You see a lot of these guys. I be reading about guys going extreme and they end up killing themselves or something like that. First of all, try to be yourself most of all. Try stuff new. Try stuff that you say you'll never do. Like, I always wanted to draw. I always like classical music. I started listening to classical music. I learned the guitar a little more. I try to speak my French. I can't absorb it like I used to, but at least I'm trying. I do my harmonica. I always did the drum. I always loved music. I try to talk to people as much as I can. I try not to let my temps get up, because when I get mad, I get super mad. It's just something that comes with the stuff of happening. I guess the PSTD and the CTD and all that stuff comes from that. Like, you can't really control it, but I've learned how to control it by speaking and writing and doing stuff. Like sometimes I don't like being around a lot of people. That's mainly why I don't do media stuff sometimes. Like, it's cool for me to come, like, doing like ESPN or maybe sports. Like, I don't think I can do it because sometimes people get aggressive. Like, I couldn't be like Skip Bayless. I couldn't deal with somebody like Skip Bayless them, because I really would take it personal. And like before, I never took stuff personal. When people like flip on me now, I take it personal. And I've learned to like back off. People are really not trying to be mean to me. They're just like, because back in the day we used to joke all the time. Sometimes people joke, I get sensitive, and I learn how to walk away now. So that's a big thing with a lot of people. I think they have it. I would love to like talk to a lot of the guys and just like sit down and have a conversation with them, show them how I kind of help myself. And it's gonna take a lot of stuff by yourself and a lot of people. A lot of times people want people to do it. There's gonna be a lot of things that you gotta do by yourself that's gonna help it. It's not gonna be like going to therapy and stuff like that. Therapy is cool to a certain extent, but it's gonna have to get to a point that you start reading books for yourself. You start walking by yourself. You start driving by yourself. You start doing stuff alone. strengthen your mind by yourself so you can understand how to handle other things around people. Because I think a lot of times when people get through their stuff, you see a lot of time they get interaction with people that don't usually interact with. And that's how they end up getting in trouble or end up killing themselves. I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about doing it, but then I started thinking about my family. I started thinking about my kids. I started thinking about how good I really do have it compared to I really don't. A lot of people look at their past and I can look at it like, dang, if I'd have played one more year, I could have had these many sacks. You gotta cut that off because your life is done fast. You look at what you did and see how much you've done that people look up to you do. So that's what I had to do, and I think a lot of guys don't really see that. They just kind of see what they didn't do, But even people that make it to the NFL and they say they bust, they make it to the NFL. Only 1% of the people make it. And a lot of that will drag people down. Like a lot of people look at Maurice Correct and people like that. Like at one point, I know he was down because everybody say bust. Then you gotta understand, I made it to the NFL. Think about how many people didn't make it. They only 1,600 NFL players in the world at the time. Only 1,600 in the world. I mean, anybody else can be rappers. Anybody else can be drug dealers. Anybody else can be doctors, lawyers. How many doctors and lawyers are there? How many people do your job? And I ain't knocking you as a job, but there are a lot of people that do your job that it's a lot. It's a lot tougher to make the NFL. So I think a lot of us see it like that and stop seeing that we're bust, even though we did. I mean, you made it to the peak that people dreamed about since they were kids, and I think that was my big thing with me. And I made it to the peak plus. A lot of people, and I have to start seeing it. And a lot of times you don't like to tap yourself on the back, but sometimes you do. And
No doubt. So I kind of want to go back, John, because obviously you being such an NFL veteran, I know this is something that has come up probably. I'm sure people have asked you about it, but the concussion stuff you had at the end of your career, obviously the word CTE comes up a lot. I know it's something the NFL is really taking on, and they're taking a bunch of precautions. But when you hear that, I mean, what's your opinion kind of on the whole CTE thing now with the NFL?
You know what? I really can't call it. I like how they're doing it, but I just hope a lot of these guys that really are just getting dinged up compared to getting concussions. There are a lot of guys that I see out there they barely getting hit, and I don't know if they're getting. You really can't tell though. But I know a lot of people that's their way out. I've heard people talk about, man, I'm playing concussion, I'm doing all that. I was like, man, do you really have concussion, bro? We really, people that really have to deal with it, it's not no joke, so
right.
Some of the guys, what I mean, it shouldn't be automatically, you get what I'm saying? I know for a fact back in the day, man, I know I used to get concussion probably every day in practice. So we used to hit head up, head up, head up. We had drills. Everybody asked me what my first concussion was. I said probably when I was in second grade, got kicked in the head. Think about it, you got hit with a bat when you was little. You got hit with a fastball. You got hit with a kickball. You got tackled by your brother and couldn't see right. So I don't even know when my concussion started. So, so everybody says it's just football, but outside life had to do it. If you play any kind of sport, basketball, I remember getting concussions in basketball, but, back in the day, it was fun to get knocked out. So, no, it's more than just football. I think they're doing a good job, but you got to understand, it starts way before you get in the NFL. With most guys, it starts way before the NFL.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of other sports, too. I know there's been an attack on football. I mean, I think UFC and hocky and, like you said, baseball at times, and no, without a doubt. Do you
catchers, I know catchers probably get them a lot. Catchers, getting hit by getting swept by that bat, or getting the ball to the cage.
Yeah.
No question.
No doubt. Do you still watch a lot of football? I know you mentioned earlier you watched South Carolina after you played Clemson, but do you watch a lot of NFL or?
I watch now. It took me. I'm telling you, it literally started this year. I started watching this year. I used to watch games, but I just started watching. I held a grievance against Atlanta because I felt like they did me wrong for so long. But then I started watching last year. I kept I said, if I keep holding stuff in, it's this point. And also it helped with my concussion stuff. I was mad at everybody who ever did me wrong. The guys was telling me that I hate the Jets. I said, I don't hate the Jets or the Falcons. I hate how they did me. If you work at McDonald's and they fire you, you go to Burger King, you're gonna hate McDonald's for a little while. I don't care who you is. You're gonna stop eating their food. That's just common sense, right? People see it as, oh man, come on, they paid you good. I said, but I still got fired. People gotta understand, if you get cut, you got fired. Regardless of what you're seeing, you gotta look for another job. And then I got cut, not at my prime, but I was pretty good. I was a decent worker. I still was flipping the burgers good. I had the fries cooked pretty on time. I might have dropped the burger here and there, but I still was getting the orders done. So I see it like that. If people see it like in the smaller terms instead of the bigger term, it's a job. And, so I saw myself as getting fired. And I never got fired before. I got traded. So they sent me to another job, but I never got fired. So it was tough getting fired.
No doubt. So kind of looking back, John, on your Gamecock career, I kind of mentioned what happened after you left South Carolina, the back-to-back Outback Bowl wins. Obviously, Lou Holtz goes throughout his career. Steve Spurrier's hired, obviously, a ton of success, had the SEC East title in 2010, the 3 straight 11-win seasons. And I know I've read some articles before you talk about kind of the Gamecock family. I know it was big in Arizona for you with I believe Jasper Brinkley was there. I believe that's who it was that you got to stay with. And you talk about the Gamecock family and just talk about what it's been like since you left South Carolina to see the type of success they've had, not only with Lou Holtz, but then Steve Spurrier and also what Will Muschamp's building at South Carolina right now.
I love it to death, though. But only thing I don't like about it, I wish we would have a little bit more older players on the wall. We got a lot of people that when we came in the winning regime, but like Turo, I just got in one of the linebacker rooms. I'm like, damn, the only thing I deserve is a linebacker room, and I'm hating on that though, because I should be happy. You'd be privileged, but I'm like, man, I was there when we had to struggle, like a Turo, Freeman, Zola Davis, Anthony Wright, and I think A1 got in the room finally.
He got
though,
in the quarterback room. Yeah, he's in the quarterback room.
Yeah, and I'm in the line room, the linebacker room, one of the rooms, but I'm like a Turo was like the first guy that really was a big guy, like a Turo Freeman, like Anthony Wright. We were there like when we was losing though. So, if we would have won a couple games, I totally understand. But also you gotta look at it's kinda like if you look at what's his name, Brewski and a lot of the guys back in the day, even what's his name, Urlacher, he wasn't on a great team at New Mexico, but they knew we had to get him up there. And there was other guys out there too. So it's kinda like for me, like not seeing us up there, the guys that really hustle and bustle that kind of, I ain't say we ain't made a wait for them, but we was there before them. There are a lot of guys, like I really don't see Sterling Sharp name up there enough to me. Sterling was a Gamecock, right?
Oh yeah. Oh no, of course. Yeah, he's actually. They've got I think they've got something of him in the indoor facility, and they got him in the wide receiver room. But no,
like you said, you think about it, he should have a statue.
Right.
Like I think about it, he was the greatest receiver. His number retired. It's just like a certain, and George just got his statue, but George had to go through a lot of stuff to get, clarify some things in his life to make it there. But well, hopefully Asia get her statue coming up sooner or later. But I see a lot of people after they leave school, they kind of get it. But George had to wait a long time. A lot of times people got to wait, they die. Some of these people don't want to wait and they die. We got some good players out here, and I think we got to do a little better of the old players that was here that kind of that I think that's why a lot of people don't really know our history, because you go to like certain campuses and who went there, that. But when I go there, I kind of look around and I'm like, like a lot of people don't know we had a Heisman Trophy guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people people know about Clowney, but I'm not saying Clowney, but if you take that hit away from Clowney's thing, he still have been a great player. But that hit in Michigan, that made him worldwide right there. Like that got him like notoriety. Because if you take that hit away, we don't really see other flashes of him.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking him, so I hope you don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying you take that away. Which I'm saying he was a great player the whole time he was there. He made a couple, decisions as a Gamecock. People like, well, maybe he should, like about talking about sitting out and stuff. It kind of touched people the wrong way, but he should have a statue or something like that, or maybe like something. He got the people know him because it's his time. But you don't want to wait. Like for me, it's been 20 years pretty much now since I left school. Well, it actually has been 20 years, but you still want people to know you 20 years when you're gone. Like 20 years from now, are we going to remember Clowney when he's done football? Are we still going to remember Clowney from that play? Are they going to remember Clowney? Because, they still call him a bust, but he made a few Pro Bowls and stuff right now. So for them, they're expecting him to be kind of like a guy that was going to be wrecking the league and stuff because of that one play. But he's having a above average NFL career. But he'll never I guess he'll never live up to what they wanted him to be. Like 15 sacks a game. He was the craziest guy ever. Living up to the first pick in the draft is, they're like Mario Edwards.
Oh yeah.
Am I talking Mario? I'm saying his name right? Like Mario, he was first pick. You gotta come with it. That first pick ain't no joke. Courtney Brown, a lot of those guys, they ain't bust, but they just they
There's a
made
lot
it,
to
but
live up to. It's a lot to
injuries,
live up to the number
injury,
one pick.
exactly, injuries and all kind of stuff, and there are a lot of stuff that come with football that people don't understand, and then always have to be in the media, and everybody's second guessing your judgment. Everybody ain't fit for that. That's why I kind of try to stay at the media as much as I could.
No doubt. And just kind of going back to what you said earlier, John, I 100% agree with you. And one reason I love doing what I do with the Spurs Up Show, just because, we're able to get a lot of different guys on from a lot of different eras and kind of highlight, I don't want to say the forgotten Gamecocks that may be forgotten, but maybe Gamecocks that people have forgotten just how great they were, like saying, including yourself. So I was going to ask you, because I 100% agree with you, because I truly do believe you can't move forward without recognizing, where you came from, and there wouldn't be a Jadeveon Clowney without a John Abraham, or without people in the past like yourself. But how do you feel that Will Muschamp is? Because I feel like he's tried to make that better, obviously, as far as inviting former players back on campus, doing the alumni spring games, and getting the older players from past generations more involved. How do you feel like Will Muschamp is addressing those concerns that you were talking about?
I think he's doing good, but I think also at every game he should have one guy introduced. Every home game, cause every time I see other people's teams, I see people on the sideline. Like, you don't see us, I'm not knocking him, though, because if that's not exactly what he wants, some coaches aren't like that. But I think if people like, all right, well, John, are you free this week? Well, you, Turo, y'all come and y'all be our guys on the sideline this week. All right, well, Ray Green, how you doing? I want y'all to come be on the sideline, because I love when I see, teammates on the sideline. I see old guys. I be watching, Alabama, they always have they ex-guy. Even if you play when Alabama wasn't winning national championship, you always see, you always see a guy either coaching for them or on the sideline, just hanging with the guys, getting to know them. And I think that would help, just to bring better recruits too. I would come to every game if they ask me if I'm free. But just coming to the spring game is cool, but that's not like seeing people on TV. Damn, is that so and so? Is that Sterling Sharp on the sideline? Is that Alshon Jeffries on the sideline of the game? Having him, Alshon, Dante Robinson, who's retired. We got a lot of people, just people on the side. I'm not just talking about just ex-NFL players. I'm talking about ex-guys that play. Lattimore is always there because he kind of worked with the facility, but not saying people tired of seeing him, but we know he's going to be there. But, I kind of follow, everybody don't follow, some people follow defense. Oh, where's the old boy, the cornerback that used to play? Yeah, how's he doing? I just want to see him at a game or something. Just bring people back on the sideline, because I tried to get to a game one time, and the line was so long getting it for players that I was just and a lot of the players, coaches, a lot of them but they had their players with them, so it wasn't really and I actually addressed them this one time. I said, what you going to do for, are you going to get a card or something for identification for people trying to get in the game? So if we're players, we can just come straight through the locker room and, get in there. We won't, but just, have a weekend or have a week. So just look, I have 5 players come this week, and just give them a call, see if they can make it. They can't make it. Just have somebody that's strictly their job to have the 5 players, and even come and say, hey, we got John Abraham, we got Turo Freeman, we got I don't know, we got so and so Boo Williams if he in town. These are our 5 players. Just give me the sideline. They're our honorary coaches for the day. So y'all, hey, and I think that'll bring a lot of people. Oh, I remember him. Or we got Cuddy Abrams. We got a lot of guys from the past that I know that were Andre, where I played with. We got a lot of guys. Andre Offin, he do military, but now he worked with a lot of football kids. I know he'll love to come. He's right there in Atlanta, but just have 5 players every game. Ex-players. Just go down the list. It don't got to be Bob Whitfield. I know he'll love to come. It's just a lot Paul Beckles. He do a training facility right there in Columbia. Have those guys come. Have Paul. I got ticket for you to come. Come on out here, just because he got a workout facility right there. A lot of guys don't know where to work out besides. Sometimes you don't want to work out at. Once you leave, you don't want to have to come back to the campus to work out. Paul has 2 workout places, one in Irma and one downtown, right there on Hugo. But sometimes guys do go out and drink. They might want to go out to a place they can go hang and get a little nice workout in, and don't want to come to campus and show the guys they might have went out, or just stuff like that. And Paul has a place they can come and relax. You don't want to go in there and have the kids look at you all the time. You don't want to have to sit there and talk to the kids. So I think that'll be good. Just to have maybe 5 players, maybe 3. It's just 3 people on the sideline, just old players. You got people that we have the little spring game that a lot of old guys come to. they'll come. But I mean, have the old guys come to, sit on the sideline. Even if you have me personally, I would have a small little place, a little section for old players.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll try to invite 5 every week, and they can just sit there and watch the game, the older players or something like that. Just for me personally. That's what I would do.
I mean, I 100% agree with you because, like I said, I truly believe
it's easier to say than it is to do sometimes. But that's what So, but that's what I personally.
Well, hopefully the powers that be that can make that happen will listen to this podcast and hear that, because I 100% agree with you. I just think recognizing the people that helped build the program to the point it is. I mean, the program wouldn't exist or be here today it wouldn't be at the place it is today without the people that came before. I truly 100% believe that, and you're definitely, without a doubt, one of those people. John, before I let you go, I know I've kept you for a while, but obviously we're a Gamecocks podcast. What would you say if you had to pick maybe one of your favorite memories just as a Gamecock?
Just walking through the smoke. Every time we walk through the smoke, like I promise you, I can remember, and that's why I loved Atlanta too, because we had the smoke also. Just hearing the music come on, I think that was the closest I ever got to my teammates. All of us, it didn't matter who it was. I mean, we had racist people, we had people that didn't like each other, and everybody. Once we got in that tunnel together, and back in the day, we everybody didn't like each other. We had people coming from different, people from West Coast, from East Coast, people that the races on both sides. Black people didn't like white people didn't like black people. We had people that didn't like certain type of music, didn't like this. But once we got in that tunnel, we didn't care who was beside you, man. All us used to hug, all us get around. So that's what I remember. Because in the locker room, our locker room was segregated sometimes, just because some people didn't like certain music, or what I mean, or some people didn't like this kind of politician or this. But once we got in there, I promise you, once we got on that little black hood and they get ready to blow that smoke, I don't care who beside you. You're getting hugs, high fives, and everything. So that's my biggest memory, because that was the closest we always used to be. Like I promise you, pretty much all of us now that I play with, we always talk. Even the people that we had problems with, we wouldn't speak to each other then. All is good. And I think us getting that tunnel together right before we had to go to fight for another team and really get to know each other, that's when we all got closer. So that's my biggest memory, just getting – I can never remember a bad moment in there. I don't care what the team was, who I was beside, when I was coming out, whether my name was called, who name was called. But whenever we got in there, whether it was white guy, black guy, Spanish, English, or whoever was in there, we was family. So that's my best memory of being a Gamecock.
That's absolutely awesome. Well, John, I appreciate you taking the time, man. If nothing else, would love to see you on the sidelines at a South Carolina game, but if nothing else, we'll obviously be at every single game at Williams-Brice. We'll have a tailgate. Would love for you to come by, talk some shop, talk some ball. Maybe we can do this again, record it, have a good old time out at Williams-Brice, man. But appreciate you taking the time, John. Absolute pleasure to speak with you. And, like I said, let's do it again sometime, without a doubt.
Yeah, you got my number, so give me a call anytime.